Apple just kicked off their developer conference for 2026. And with that, they announced changes for all the operating systems you use on your iPhone, Mac, or iPad. This year, they specifically focused on 3 parts. First, improvements to the platform in general, child safety and parental controls, and last, Apple Intelligence or AI. I want to mainly focus on AI and why the way Apple is approaching AI is such a power move, not only for developers, but also for the users. As an overview, I will talk about the new Siri AI and why the way it gets implemented is so good compared to anything else the AI industry is doing when it comes to applying AI. Then I want to focus on Apple's approach of how they implement AI features into their tools and why this approach is way better than what some of the people inside the AI bubble will tell you how the future will go. And what this empowerment has to do with your time. And also why it is great that Apple focused on the basics of how the operating system works in order to make it available on more platforms. So let's start out with Siri AI. Siri AI is their new version of Siri. Basically what they tried to ship last year. And the way this works is simple and yet super powerful for the developers and also the customers. The way Siri AI will have context about you and your personal usage is through features that Apple is already providing to developers. It can use Spotlight indexes to get the right information. It uses app intents to make actions from outside the app available to the AI. And they also allow developers to create custom skills so that Siri can make more out of the apps you use. This is just awesome because as a developer, you don't need to change that much. You can use the existing code base you have and it will work reasonably fine with the new Siri. Honestly, I don't know if there's something similar going on with Android. But even if Android has this, the bigger difference is that Apple owns the complete ecosystem. They have macOS, they have iOS, they have all the operating systems for their platforms. And everything that works with Siri AI will work on all platforms, which is the same with other developer tools like SwiftUI, which allows you to create all the interfaces you use on every device in one code base. This means that when the new Siri AI experience comes out, most of the apps will already be supported and the developers won't need to adjust their whole app or code base to this new feature. So that's the first thing that I think Apple is doing really well, is that they're taking care of the ease of use from the developer side, but also from the customer's perspective. And this leads us to the way Apple approaches AI, which is that they want to deeply integrate it with their tools, empowering people to create what they want instead of replacing the work. If you spend some time in the dark place of the AI bubble, you will know that the goal of these AI labs is to replace human labor in as many areas as possible. Why? Because that makes a shitload of money. But as we all know, this creates fear, this creates false expectations with the management who will ultimately decide whether or not people get hired or fired. And it will most definitely lead us to a financial crash in some near future, but that's another topic. So when Apple's making the move to say, developers, we implement our AI to use all of the app's functionality you already implemented, that's a big win for all the software engineers and developers out there who develop for Apple's platform. This is especially important when you have people like Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, which is an agentic AI framework which allows an AI to have access to your computer and complete tasks on your behalf, who thinks that most of the apps we use today won't be necessary anymore because the AI will do the task for us. And I think this is partially true, but it lacks one major point. You need an interface for the model to interact with the data, but you also need an interface for humans to interact with the data. And this interface we have for humans are apps. The reason why we have all of these apps is to have a visual interface that allows us to edit information, to consume information, to just transform our own thinking. And now with AI, we have a tool that can make these changes for us, but it will not supersede all of the things we have built for humans. And also, if you think about it, if AI could do the job for us and we don't need an interface anymore to interact with the data, that would imply that the AI is good enough to complete all the tasks we would complete without any problems. And that isn't the case right now. Which brings me to the next point, which is Apple's respect for the customer's time. When you take a look at OpenAI and Anthropic, they will push the notion that you can build anything with Claude or GPT. And they are pushing towards a future where software can just be generated. But this is not the present moment. In the present moment, you can use these tools to develop faster or find different ways for solving a problem, but they will not do everything automatically. And when you now go to all the managers or all the hyped up people in the AI bubble that will tell you that they can build anything, that's just simply wrong. There's a reason why I need to learn how iOS development works in order to create the apps I want to create. The models aren't good enough yet, and Apple isn't providing you this illusion that these models can do more than they actually can. Rather, they provide you with the right tools for you to use the technology effectively, for example, in the Photos app, but they keep it simple with that. In my opinion, these AI labs try to blur the line between the customer and the developers. They make it one. But that is not how people use technology. They don't care about how they work and why they work the way they work. They just use them to get things done. So by implying that you can just replace developers with AI is like saying everyone is interested in tech. And that's not the case. Let's get to the last point, which is also great to see in these times, which is that Apple focused on improving how their operating system works and making basic things faster. They took some time to talk about how their CPU scheduler is more performant, or how things like transferring files through AirDrop is more responsive. And I think that's great to see because, as I said before, all the AI labs are pushing towards building more with AI. And if you talk to any developer, you know that the code AI generates is most of the times pretty junky. So what you see right now is that apps get more bloated and buggier, even though you might think that with new improvements, things also get more efficient. To wrap things up, I think it's super refreshing to see Apple's approach to AI and see how they use it as an extension for what they already created and how it empowers developers to make more out of their apps. It's refreshing compared to the notion of having jobs replaced, seeing that the whole workflows of software development change and everything gets replaced. And in general, just to see that there is this notion of we respect our customers' time and we know that they don't want to spend much time with technology. So we try to design our tools in order for our customers to have the best experience with the least effort possible. And the same goes for the developers. So I hope that the way Apple is approaching AI is a way that other parts of the industry will adopt, and hopefully we will get a sane version of AI. I hope this gives you some context about why Apple is approaching AI the way they do. If you're interested to see what can be done with those tools and how creating apps looks like today, subscribe to the channel. Currently, I'm documenting my learning journey through shorts. See you next time. Bye.